G'day, my name's Ken. I'm here to talk to you about electronic fuel injection on dirt bikes. I have over 40 years experience on electronic fuel injection systems, LPG systems and diesel injection systems. As you can see by the bikes in the background and that, I'm a very keen dirt bike rider. Now we'll move on to our fuel injection dirt bikes. Rightio, we have a fuel tank with a fuel pump inside the tank. It's normally inside a canister to stop fuel surge and sucking in air when the fuel level's low. We have a filter screen at the bottom of the pump. Out the top side of the pump on the pressure side we have a filter, a pressure regulator and the unwanted fuel returned down inside the canister to keep the fuel pump cool and to keep a constant supply of fuel around the pump. Our main pressure line runs across to the injector with a small filter in some of the later model bikes located right near the injector. Problems that guys have been experiencing with them is on the 990s the filter down the bottom is fairly fine and it blocks up fairly quickly without doing a lot of Ks, and the bikes just don't want to go, they can't get the fuel in to maintain the pressure. On the models from 690 down to 350s, this filter here gets blocked, partly blocked, and restricts pressure. The pump has to work overtime. The normal fuel pressure regulated is 54 psi, and when the fuel filter starts getting blocked, the pressure between the pump and the fuel filter can ramp upwards as high as 80 psi we've had on the test bench between the pump and the filter, which stresses out the pump and causes premature failure of the fuel pumps. It also pushes dirt through the filter. The filters weren't designed to be blocked and have fuel force through them. The dirt goes through and ends up at the injector. This is why they've placed a small filter at the injector to keep the dirt out of it. With the dirt going into the injector, it causes the injectors to perform poorly. They can dribble and leak once the bike's turned off and cause hard starting or zero starting. So to fix this problem, we worked out that putting any kind of restriction between the tank and the injector was a definite no-no. We need to maintain our regulated pressure of 54 psi at the regulator right to the injector, and we don't want to put any service items, fuel filters in the line anywhere, how big or small, that's going to interfere with that pressure. You only need a small drop in pressure. Once you go from 54 to 53, that smaller drop can change the performance of the bike. It affects the mapping. The mapping's designed to run at 54, and as soon as you start dropping pressure at the nozzle, the bike won't perform as good as what it does with 54. So throw this filter away was the first thing we did, and then at the end of that we needed to keep this filter clean was the obvious solution. Keep everything stock standard in the system so it's easy to maintain and replace, but this filter has to be kept clean. It's a pain to keep removing it and replacing it all the time, so we've developed a system where by purging the fuel filter every time you ride the bike, it keeps the filter clean. And by keeping the filter clean, the pump no longer has to stress out and pump pressures way over 54, so the pump life is increased dramatically. The dirt doesn't pass through the filter because the excess pressure is not there to push it through, and we don't get the dirt up through into the injector. There is no filter here, so the system is far more trouble-free and reliable. It needs far less maintenance to keep the system going. We experimented with this system on a test bench with fish tanks using genuine KTM pressure regulators, fuel pumps, filters, and thus to come up with a system of timings as to when to purge and how long to purge for and how long after you switch the bike off to purge it and all sorts of things to achieve the best results. We've had the system working for 12 months now and had very good results. We've had a 100% success rate. We've had no filters blocked on any bikes that have had purge units fitted to them. The commonly asked questions we get, there's two main ones. The first one is, where does all the dirt go that you pull out of the filter? Well, the answer's simple. The hard lumpy stuff that never have got into your tank in the first place is just caught by the pickup filter and ends up laying around the bottom of the tank. And that stuff generally doesn't get in there in the first place unless you've got dirty fuel. The stuff that blocks the filters is like a mud or a sludge. That stuff's normally suspended in the fuel, and once it's purged out, it stays suspended in the fuel and doesn't cause a problem. The second question is, does purging the pump, does running a pump backwards affect the reliability of the pump? We took a pump out of a KTM 690 which had done 30,000 kilometres. We put it on a test bench and purged it 96,000 times. Then put the pump back in the bike, check the pressures and run it, and everything's normal. The pump works well. So the answer is, purging a pump the way we do it, it does not harm it. If you were to purge a pump at random, over purge it, or run it forward and backwards and forward without pauses, I think you would damage the pump. Thanks for your attendance. If you want more information, you can Google the website and ask questions. We appreciate any feedback we get. Thank you.